Hi, beautiful soul. Welcome back to day 2 of Awaken the Divine Within. I'm Kirby, your girl. Today I'm talking about your thoughts. I'm talking about your mind. Yo, you are not your thoughts. And your thoughts are not facts. Your thoughts are patterns. You are not your thoughts. You're not your mind. You are the observer of your thoughts. Your thoughts are your human program, and you as the observer, the awareness, is the soul. As long as you operate from or believe that your thoughts are you can't ever operate as your soul, because they're just not the same thing. Like, if you don't have the awareness that you're not your thoughts, then every single time a thought comes into your mind, you are going to believe that it's true. And it's not. It's literally just a program. Thoughts are not facts. They're patterns. And your brain's job is to just keep you alive. It's not meant to keep you happy. So your brain is just going to keep replaying thoughts that it knows, because anytime that there isn't constant chatter in your mind, it thinks that it's dying. And your brain just wants to keep you alive. That's what its job is. It doesn't care or understand like happiness. It's just trying to keep you alive. The majority of your thoughts are untrue. They're nonsense. But if you are not the awareness to catch the thoughts coming forward, each thought is creation. Every single thought is creating. It is creating something. Whether you consciously thought that thought or it's a program of an old thought coming through, it's still creating, and it's just based off of a program from 7 years of your life. If you allow thoughts that are destructive, negative, then you are going to keep living a life of destruction, of pain, of negativity. If you acknowledge that there's a destructive thought and you do not feed it, thoughts are literally like parasites. They need to be fed. And if you feed it by allowing that thought a place in your mind rent-free, that thought is going to grow, because the second there's one negative thought, it fires off a whole section of your brain of other negative thoughts to feed with it. That's why you can spiral into a negative mood, a negative attitude, a negative way of being instantly, because the second that you allow one parasitic negative thought to come forward, it will just keep spiraling all of them and pulling you down into a hole. And then you're like in a tornado of self-sabotage that you didn't ever want to be in. And it's because you didn't acknowledge that your awareness and you allowed a thought to come through. If you pay attention to all the noise that's around me, like, it would be my preference to not record this video with all this noise, but it's very symbolic of all of the kind of mental chatter that's constantly going on in your mind at all times. And if you feed that negative mental chatter will continue to grow. If you will react, if you allow these negative thoughts into your life, you are feeding that wounded part of yourself. You're not operating as the soul, you are operating from a wounded victim place. But if you acknowledge the thought that comes forward, and again, it's just energy, and you transmute that energy into a more constructive thought, or you can sit in silence and observe the thought without any story attached to the thought, without any judgment attached to the thought, you will realize that the thought has no power. It only has power if you give it power. Anything that comes into your mind only has power if you give it power. If you feed it, it grows. If you don't feed it, it dies. So it's up to you to be the observer of what are you allowing to move through your head. Where most people fail on the spiritual journey isn't because they get up and they say a long list of affirmations. It's that they don't maintain their mind all throughout the day. Instead, they allow their mind to keep reverting back to old stories, old beliefs, old thoughts, old limiting self-talk. And then they wonder why there isn't any transformation happening. If you do not slow down and let yourself be awareness of what are the thoughts that are coming forward, transmute that energy instantly, that thought has now implanted into the garden of your mind, and now it's going to grow. It's going to be there, and the more that it's in there, the more that it's growing, the harder it is to remove it out, and you're going to keep seeing those patterns coming forward. It was shocking to me to really understand the fact that your mind is not you. Your mind is like a computer program of somebody else's beliefs, i.e. your parents. Like, the majority of us, it's from our parents, maybe it's from grandparents, people who we lived with, society, like society-wise, family-wise, all of that, 0 to 7 years old. Like, your human program is that of your parents' beliefs, the beliefs of your upbringing. And if that wasn't that you are an infinitely divine, abundant soul, then you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that that's how you're meant to be operating, from a pure place of love and abundance and joy and happiness and bliss. What you're breaking free from isn't even your own beliefs. It isn't even your own thought patterns. It's the majority thought pattern, belief pattern that you grew up around, that you were programmed into. And then you have to start operating now on a soul level, a pure place, and not feed into those. This is the thing that most people have the toughest time with. It's a constant managing of what's going in your mind all day and redirecting that energy towards constructive energy instead of destructive. You don't have to meditate to master your mind. Meditation helps because as you focus your mind in meditation, it stops your mind from wandering so much all throughout your day, because you have utilized that energy to focus, to stop allowing yourself to divert to all these consistent thoughts. But you can, as long as you allow yourself to be awareness and not take into fact of what's going on in your mind, you can divert it without doing meditative practice. I will say meditation makes it easier and it makes it happen faster, but do you have to meditate? No. Meditation has probably been one of the most profound things that I've implemented into my own life. When I first started doing it 7 years ago, I couldn't even meditate for 5 minutes. I had such a bad monkey mind. I could not focus my mind. But once I got good with 5 minutes, then I upped it to 10 minutes. Once I got good with 10 minutes, then I upped it to 15 minutes. Now I meditate for an hour and I love it and I feel amazing. Like an hour is my sweet spot. I love meditating. And the way that my day goes completely different if I meditate in the morning or if I don't meditate in the morning. Like meditation centers me mind, body, and spirit. I highly recommend you start it out. If there's anything that you implement for this year, it would be implement a meditative practice. Start meditating. Start with 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And once you master that, up it. And you'll start seeing how much better you feel just from the act of disciplining your mind. The other thing is it's much easier to catch these thoughts when you aren't filling your life with other kind of nonsense that's distracting you. It's much easier to catch your thoughts when you're not scrolling endlessly on your phone. It's much easier to catch your thoughts when you're not mindlessly watching TV all the time. It's much easier to catch these thoughts when you're not filling your day with destructive music that isn't bringing anything good into your life. You will become deeper and deeper awareness the more comfortable you get being in stillness with yourself. You realize that you fill up your day with all of these other things because you are uncomfortable being in stillness with yourself. You are uncomfortable sitting with yourself. When I was bedridden with chronic illness at 30 years old, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me, but it also was the best thing that ever happened to me because it forced me to stop living a life that was pleasing everyone else but myself, and it forced me to sit with myself. And because I ignored all of the red flags of life up until that point, I had to be forced to sit with myself. And I realized I hated myself. And the reason why I was even in the position of having chronic illness was because of the deep level of hate that I had for myself. A person who loves themselves doesn't have anxiety, doesn't have depression, doesn't have chronic illness. Because love would never allow those things to come forth into your being. Like I had to be really, really honest with myself in that I deeply, deeply hated myself and I didn't know why. And that's the reason what prompted me onto my spiritual journey, is because I didn't know why I hated myself. I didn't know why I couldn't love myself. And I wanted to find out why, and I wanted to be happy. I wanted to love myself, I wanted to love my life, and I wanted to be happy. The first part of that was me being forced to sit with myself and figure out who I am. Sitting with myself was awful, but the more that I devoted to mastering my mind, mastering myself, the easier it became to sit with myself. And then you realize that you actually really enjoy your company when you're not allowing yourself to operate off of mass destruction that you've been programmed into. And it becomes better and better and better. And you realize, like, that's why a lot of spiritual people don't interact with people, because they are genuinely happy being with themselves. They feel happy and secure and at peace and unconditional love just being and sitting with themselves. And you don't need anyone else to fill your cup, because your cup is full. It's full with the divine's love. It's full with God's love. It's full with the infinite abundance and love and joy and happiness that's readily available at all times. This is why happiness is a choice. It's not a destination. This is why so many people will strive to get to an endpoint thinking that it means something, and they get there and they realize it didn't mean anything because they didn't feel what they thought they were going to feel when they got there, which is the happiness, which is the peace. The point is to allow yourself to feel happiness and peace without anything. And then when you allow yourself to feel the happiness and peace without anything, you actually attract everything because you feel whole. You feel whole being yourself. You feel whole just being you. You feel loved and accepted just being you. And that's what we are all craving, is to just be loved and accepted for who we are. But we have to love and accept ourselves for who we are if we desire the entire world to love and accept us for who we are. If you can't even sit in silence with yourself and make peace and stop allowing yourself to feed into the stories and the beliefs and the thoughts that are coming forward that are not you, and start mastering yourself out of that, how can you expect yourself to love and accept yourself if you can't even allow yourself to break free from those parts of yourself that are not even you? That's the point of all of this, of mastering yourself on the spiritual journey. The aspect of self-realization is that I am not my thoughts, and I'm not feeding into those realities. That my thoughts are trying to get me to take the bait to come into these destructive realities. Instead, I am a soul observing my thoughts, and I know that God is infinite love and abundance, and at all times I am choosing that. Even if a thought comes forward like you're a fucking loser, you're gonna say, no, I'm filled with God's love. And it's an inner strength, and the deeper your faith, the deeper your trust, the deeper you strengthen yourself to the truth and the reality of this world, which is of God's love, divine love, the more you will break yourself free from that. And it just takes consistency and devotion and repetition. And we reprogram ourselves back to the truth of our soul, which is divine love. And a freaking butterfly just flew right past as I said that. It like came up and over. That's the point here. You have to break yourself free from that pattern of your old way of being, rooted in lack and fear and scarcity and pain and suffering. That's what we have all been programmed into, which are not truths, they are programs. The only truth is love. We are all a part of the same one grand pizza of love. We are individual slices of love from the same pizza of love, all of us. And it's up to us to return back to that love, to live as our souls and thrive in this reality. That's how you thrive. You stop operating from human program of pain and suffering. You start living from pure love. That's what happens. So, I'm sending you all of my love. Have an absolutely beautiful rest of the day. There's nowhere for you to be except for at peace within. I'm sending you all of my love, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.